job placement environment here. So normally if I was in person, I would ask you guys, hey, and I guess it doesn't have to be a person since we're virtual, but what does this slide represent? And if you look at it, most people are like, wait a minute, that's the unemployment slide for the United States over, realistic. And I trust you guys can see this okay too, by the way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. But this is the unemployment slide for almost the last 90 years. And I use this in my talks when I go to a lot of classes here to really, like I said, try and motivate students to really get in the game with stuff here. And so I always tell students, let's focus in on these last like 12 years. And I always ask students, what do you know about the job market over the last 12 years? Well, if you go back 12 years, most of you were like in third grade and probably didn't give a rip about what the job market was like, 12 years ago. But it's this part right here that I really want to focus on from mainly 2009 through the current state. Okay. So if we go all the way back to 2009, 2008, and I remember this, in December of 2008, we had a company that reached out to all of us in career services, whether it was ag, whether it was business or whatever. And it was a big equipment company. And they sent us this email and they said, man, we hate to do this to you guys, but because of the downturn in the economy. And so in 08 and 09, if you recall, the mortgage crisis and everything crashed. All right. The Great Recession kicked in. And they said, we hate to do it, but we are rescinding all job offers for your December graduates. Okay. And this email came out like in finals week. And I'm like, oh my God, these are great paying jobs. And these poor students are sitting there taking finals and decide to check their emails. And what happens? They get dumped by the company. And they went on to say, and we are also rescinding all internships for '09 and as well as May grads of '09. And so it really, and I kept that email to date just because I knew there'd be some significance to it, but it really put the whole thing in motion. And so I joke back then, in the history of mankind, you probably could not have picked a worse time to graduate from college in 2009. Why? Because everything was down on campus. You would have been shocked at how our career fairs plummeted and the number of opportunities on sci-hire plummeted and on-campus interviews plummeted. And oh, by the way, if you look at this right here, in October of '09, we peaked out at about a 10%, one of the highest unemployment rates in a long, long time. Okay. So then things got better over the years, in 2013, 2014, the ag economy was good and then it started to go downhill, but other parts of the economy were really humming along. And really, for about the last decade, life was good. Okay. And here's kind of what we were talking about earlier, Lauren, is the fact that all this started a year ago. A year ago to date, in February of 2020, here we are. We are locked into almost a no-brainer job market for college graduates out there. All right. You had every economic indicator saying this is a great time to be a graduating senior from a college here. If you look down here in February of 2020, we had nearly a 50-year low unemployment rate of 3.5%. Okay. We had more job offers or there was more jobs out there than job seekers. What was it? 120 months of jobs were added to the economy. The number of first-time unemployment applicants was a record low. Conversely, the number of voluntary departures was really high. Why? Because people are leaving their jobs to go to better paying jobs out there. Salaries were rising. This was just an unbelievable time. And and I always close it out with classes saying, gosh, I hope we never ever have to live through this again. And I was totally serious about it. I would say it, as old as I am, thinking we'll never have to live through this last decade. We're on Easy Street, and boom, a month later, March 2020, what happens? Coronavirus enters, and everything goes hell in the handbasket again. Okay, so you look at unemployment numbers at the end of April of 2020. Unemployment rate zoomed up to 14.8%. Okay, look at that. One of the highest ever. Okay, can't count the Great Depression here. The highest ever. 23 million jobs were lost in this economy. All right. Now the good news is, nearly 10 months later, the unemployment rate has dropped quite a bit. It's actually 6.3, I believe, as of last week. Okay, they've recovered about 12 million of those jobs. But here's the reality, okay? They're still missing 10 million jobs. And most of us know we're not going to get these 10 million jobs back. right? A lot of those are lost forever. And then more so with the unemployment figure being at 6.3, you're thinking that's not bad. Well, there's a couple things that are misleading about it. One, the reason it dropped so much from the previous month was that a lot of the new jobs that were found were actually contract positions. So they're short lived. Okay. And on top of it, what happened is that number dropped down because a lot of people took themselves out of the workforce. All right. And they take them out of the workforce, they're not counted in the unemployment scenario. Okay. And so you might be thinking, well, why do these people take themselves out of the workforce? For several reasons. One, you guys know, I'm sure you know families that because of this employment landscape, one of the parents has had to quit their job to stay home with kids, right? During the COVID stretch. You got others that don't want to go back to work because maybe they're working in an environment where they're going to catch COVID. And and then I think there's a lot of people that are just like, you know what? I am so sick and tired of fighting this battle of trying to find a job. I'm done. I'm taking a breather. All right. So even though it's dropped down quite a bit, you know what? It's still cause for concern. And so you're thinking, all right, great, where's this guy going with this? Just give me your message here. Here's my message to every student out there. And you guys can be ambassadors for me with this as well. I go to classes and seldom do I have to get in a situation where I'm begging students to take their job search seriously. But I am this year, every class I go to, I'm begging students to get in the game, to take their job search seriously. You guys, I can promise you, you know the exact type of student I'm talking about. There's so many students out there right now that are so disengaged as a result of everything going on in this world there. And we're seeing that with the number of kids that log into SciHire, the number of kids that sign up for career fairs yet don't go to them. It's unbelievable. So I challenge everybody right now. These are some difficult stretches. You want to get in the game. You want to take your search seriously. And you want to remember, this is not February 2020 where just showing up is good enough. All right. You got to put your best foot forward out there and give it a little energy and a little love. And I always tell students this as well. Remember this word, adaptable. Okay. Both of you are intelligent women. You've probably done a fair amount of interviewing over your time. And you've probably had, and like, did you have to interview for any vet schools, Lauren?
Yeah, I interviewed with Washington State.
Okay. So here's the deal with interviewing. You guys are both familiar with what we call behavioral based questions, right? You know, Isla, tell me about a time, and you've heard those questions, and they're going to be around for a long time. Employers embrace them. But why do I throw that word adaptable up there? Because I'm telling students now, you can bet the farm over the next 3 years. Every interview you go through will probably have something to do with your adaptability. How did you adapt to these crazy times around us? How did you adapt with your internship being canceled? Okay, how did you adapt to, having all online classes there? How did you adapt to this personally and mentally? And how did you adapt to having all this time? And maybe did you challenge yourself to learn a new skill during this downtime there? So just keep adaptability in the back of your mind, because here's the reality, and you guys probably know this already. Adaptability is one of the most desirable skills that employers seek in candidates out there. So moving forward with your interviews, I would challenge all of you, or both of you there, to really be able to one simple thing, and that's return on your investment. Okay. And here's the beauty of it. Whether you're in the College of Ag and Life Sciences, whether you are in Jardine in the business college, you are given everything you need to be successful in life beyond here at Iowa State. You have great academic programs, great professors and advisors, wonderful internships, extracurriculars galore. You can't help but be successful. Okay. So embrace these, continue to embrace these things, because the reality is finding a job, it scares the hell out of a lot of people. But I'll tell you this, finding a job when you get out of college, if you take advantage of everything that's given to you here at Iowa State, it's going to be an easy game to play. Okay. And along the way, we want you to go ahead and utilize the available resources that are here for you. All right. And even along the way and post graduation as well, many of these services are available to you as alumni too. Okay. So one, if we can help you use your career services office, and here's the beauty of Iowa State, and you both probably know it already, is that we have a decentralized career service system here, meaning every college has their own career service office. And I'll tell you what, Only 15% of the schools in this country have it, but it's a great model. We're all biased, obviously, but it's a great model. Why? Because the students know where to go, whether it's in Curtis or Jardine, and the employers that are targeting, whether it's a marketing major or an animal science student, they know where to go as well. Okay. So if you're not using the career services office we can be of service, let us know anything and all things related to careers, whether it's resume writing, um, interviewing, just anything related to careers. That's what we're about. Yep. And Lauren, obviously you're going to be heading off to school there somewhere, but Isla, tap into the career fairs that we've got here. Iowa State is, most students don't realize this. Iowa State is so fortunate to have the career fairs that we have here at Iowa State. Many of them, CALS, engineering, even business, are some of the largest fairs of their kind in the country. That tells you how valued employers think of you in terms of coming here. Okay. So tap into these. I know next week, the engineering career fairs next week, as is the business industry technology, as is people to people. These are great venues. And you know what? Fingers crossed that we're back to in-person fairs next fall. I mean, all of us crave those. Employers crave them. The students like them. So did either of you go to a virtual career fair this year?
I wasn't able to make it this year.
Sure. Isla,
Yes, I did.
how did you like it? It's different, isn't it?
I mean, for me personally, I didn't enjoy the career fair as much. I found it to be more geared towards juniors and seniors, which
Okay.
is just how it is. So
Sure.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it will just get better as the years go on. But right now, they aren't really looking for sophomores. That's why I kind of had to go off of the career fair thing to get internships right now.
Whatever it
So,
takes, right? But
yeah.
you're right. Sometimes at those events, being juniors and seniors, junior, you're at the top of the pyramid for internships. They want you so they can flip you to full-time after that internship. And seniors are wanting you to segue to full-time right now. But, fingers crossed we're back to in-person events because those are so
Yeah.
productive for everybody. Hopefully you utilize Sci-Hire. Okay.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, I mean, not only for Isla, but also Lauren, you as well. One thing about Sci-Hire that is really nice is that, and we've been on it for like 15 years. And it's funny, today I had a guy call me right before lunch, and there's a lot of these vendors out there. Hey, this is Joe Blow from I wrote it down, what do you call it, 1220. And I knew right away it was some of these placement platforms. I said, hey, we've been on Simplicity for 15 years. It works great. We're broke. Thanks for calling. So the Sci-Hire system's great because you can use it as an alum. And for you, Lauren, here's the great thing about it. You maybe not have checked it out, but the vet college got on this about 2 years ago. It's amazing, absolutely amazing how many vet clinics are on there posting jobs. So when you get a chance, just go on there and kind of browse around. But you're in the system. You just need to activate this system. And the best part about it, you can use it as an alum when you graduate from college too. Okay. You're both familiar with this, and this is, learn the art of networking. And I've slapped that urgent because, the saying is, if you're not networking, you're not working. It's so true. You've had the opportunity, you've had or will have the opportunity to meet so many influential people along the way. You will. And so I challenge everybody, build that business card portfolio, maintain those connections, and it's a two-way street. You always ask them, what can I do for you? If you're ever reaching out to help, looking for jobs, throw that offer back at them there, but learn the art of that. And that's a great segue to my next resource there is LinkedIn. Are either of you on LinkedIn by chance?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes.
And, it's the reality. Don't underestimate the power of this. It's a great example of networking. And, the reality is there's a lot of jobs these days that are getting brokered as a result of the LinkedIn tool out there. So definitely maintain an active LinkedIn page there too. Okay, so these are just the great resources that are out there. These are resources that are just going to help make that game even easier for you to land employment when you do graduate. So let's kind of shift gears here, okay? And you do graduate, and you're out of vet school, Lauren, and clinic calls you up, or Isla, you just had that capstone internship experience your junior year, which would have been what, summer 2022. And they're going to pull you into the office and say, hey, things went well this summer. Let's talk full-time employment. Okay. So when this happens here, this is typically how jobs are rolled out. You're going to get a call from a company. They're going to call you up and say, hey, Lauren, this is Vet Clinic A, B, and C. We are pleased to offer you the assistant veterinarian position starting at $100,000 a year, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be short, it's going to be sweet. And what are they going to do? They're going to follow that up with, okay, we're going to send you a hard copy offer here shortly. And we're going to get to that here in a second. So you'll get the verbal offer, you'll get the hard copy offer, and then you got to go down to these 2 Ds right here. You got to do some deciding and what I call deciphering. All right. And these are 2 different verbs that elicit different emotions, because deciding elicits angst. I look over at the 2 chairs in my office. The first 2 weeks in my semester, and probably most of my counterparts here on campus, we spend with students coming in with a job offer as a result of that internship. And I can just see the angst in their eyes, like, oh my God, this is a big decision. What do I do? Especially if you have maybe 2 offers. Okay. You always remind them, hey, this is a good problem to have. So take a deep breath. Okay. So deciding, elicits the angst, and deciphering, I think, elicits confusion. And we'll get to that one here in a second. So when that job offer comes to you, we're all guilty of it. What's 9 times out of 10 the deciding factor? The deciding factor is the dollar sign, right? Well, how much are you going to pay me? How much are you going to pay me? And I certainly get it. I realize that the dollar sign is certainly important, especially when it comes to student loans and such out there. But remember this, we're in the middle of a pandemic right now, but there's also a mini pandemic going on within this huge global pandemic. And it's a pandemic that I call job hopping. All right. And students are job hopping way too early in their career. And it's not a good precedence to set for you, your reputation, the employer, or even your academic institution. So look beyond the dollar sign. And these are all things that I've listed here that you really should consider, okay, with your job offer. Not only dollar sign, but the benefits, which we're going to talk about here in a second, okay? To me, there's 3 benefits that you absolutely have to have when you hop into a job. 2 are pretty obvious. The 3rd is not so obvious. And the 3 that I tell you you've got to have: 1, health insurance. Okay. Now the beauty is you can stay a mom and dad so you're 26, but at some point, yeah, you got to get off of it. I hate to tell you that. Okay. And 2, the second most important, which I would probably, I don't know, it's a mix of 1 and 2, is retirement. All right. And we'll talk about retirement plans here as well. And the 3rd, with which none of you youngsters ever really think about, is what I call long-term disability. Okay. You may have heard of it before, but what is long-term disability? This just is a way of preserving income in case something really bad happens to you. We'll take a look at that on the next slide there. So you look at the dollar sign, you look at the benefit package, because I can promise you not every benefit package is created equal, far from it. All right. You want to look at geography as well. And one of the things being in agriculture that always drives me crazy is we have so many of our ag students that have to do what? They have to stay in the state of Iowa for their first employment opportunity. We just released our placement stats this week. 68% of our graduates stay in Iowa for their first employment experience, okay? Anytime you are restricted geographically with your job search, you eliminate a lot of potential jobs out there. And if you want to get to a place where you want to be, close to the family farm, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, there's probably going to be some give and take in terms of starting salaries with the companies that you're going to be looking at there. Okay. Career advancement. And when you're interviewing for a full-time job, I think the no-brainer question is always this: tell me, where can I be in 2 to 5 to 10 years down the road with this? Okay. This is probably this is one, and the mentoring piece are, I think, 2 of the biggest things that drive people to leave jobs out there. Not so much the money, but not seeing an advancement where things are just so mundane and so boring and so monotonous. And then the other piece down here is mentoring as well. Okay. So when you interview, ask them that. Okay. Tell me about your onboarding. Tell me about your mentoring structure. You're going to remind them, hey, I don't need my hand held 24/7, but your goal in life is to continue learning, and you want to mentor out there. In fact, I had a young lady in with 2 job offers, and this was one of the deciding factors. She felt like at company A, she was not going to get that mentoring. And as a result of that, what did she do? She opted out of that offer there. So understand their mentoring, The company culture, it's amazing these days how cultures have changed, and how many of their ideas and their philosophies are going to align well with those of young people like yourself out there. Sustainability, giving back. I'm shocked at how, not shocked, but I'm pleased to see how many companies will actually give you a day or two off if you do service in the industry. I know my daughter works for Kemin in Des Moines, and she can take a day off if she does some community service work there. So what is the company culture? Does it afford you a work-life balance? All right, and that's something that's to be seen moving forward, because you know what, we're going to see a lot more people working from home as a result of the pandemic that we're in there. So company culture, and you can probably get a good grasp on company culture based on how that company's reacted to their employees during this time, during the pandemic. How have they treated them? Okay. Ask employees there about the culture, ask their competitors, and finally, company stability as well. All right. This is where you got to do a little due diligence, and is this company stable? There's actually a couple of companies right now. If a student came into my office and said, hey, I got an offer from company A, B, and C, I might be a bit hesitant to not give them my 2 cents and say, hey, I'd approach with caution there with that. So these are all the factors. Don't be driven by the dollar sign there. So you will decide on that, okay? And then you're going to get, no matter where you go, you're going to get the next piece, which is the benefit package. All right, that's going to arrive to you. It may arrive to you in mail. It may arrive via email. I can promise you, either way, as a young person, you're going to open that up, and this is going to be your thoughts right here. Someone, please help me. These are so confusing and so overwhelming out there. So when I give a chance to talk to classes, this is actually one of the things that I love talking about the most is the job offer out there. And you know why I like to talk about it? One, because I really enjoy it, and I don't get to give a chance to really talk about it that much, in my job here. Two, for you guys as students probably seldom have a class that go through this type of stuff and explain this stuff to you. And three, at the end of the day, this stuff, especially many of these things that we talked about here, incredibly important to your well-being in that job and beyond. Okay. So this is a standard list of benefits that you're going to get when you receive a job offer out there. Now, I told you before, to me, the three most important are health insurance, retirement, and then long-term disability. So let's just kind of walk through these right here. With health insurance, here's the beauty of health insurance. I would suspect an incredibly high percentage of the companies that you go to work for are going to offer you health insurance. And again, not all health insurance plans are created equal. Most college students have two options when it comes to health insurance. One, stay on mom and dad's, like I suggested, or I mentioned earlier, till you're 26, or two, you can hop on the employer's plan and pay for it. All right. 95% of the students I work with are like, we're staying at mom and dad's till we're 26, because that's going to save you the premium for that there. So you're going to want to have these discussions with your parents, because there are some situations where this may not be your parents, as much as they love you guys, they might say, you know what, hey, Lauren, Isla, sorry, you got to go. Are either one of you only child in the house? You are?
I am an only child, yeah.
You both are.
We're both only children? What are the odds? I never knew.
I know. All right. Well, I hate to tell you this. As much as your parents love you, you guys are doomed from health insurance perspective. Okay. And here's why I say that, because, Lauren, you can probably get a little wiggle room because you're going to be in college, going to vet school. Isla, you're going to hop out in the job market. And here's why you guys are doomed, because if you look at the different rates they give you for health insurance, there's usually like 3 or 4 levels. A single employee, an employee plus spouse, an employee plus dependents, and then the last one is family. And as you go down that list, it gets more and more and more expensive for that plan. Okay, and family is the most expensive. So with a family plan, it doesn't matter if there's 5 kids in your family or 1 kid in your family. They're going to pay that same rate usually. Okay, so by mom and dad saying, hey, we love you both, but you know what? We're going to drop down now from a family plan to an employee plus spouse plan. It's going to save them a potential chunk of change. I hate to tell you that. Okay. And so you want to have this conversation with them, before you head off. Remember this, health insurance typically will cost you, it's all based on a deductible. You guys know what a deductible is. A deductible is the amount of money you have to spend before the insurance kicks in. You'll usually get two plans offered to you, a low deductible plan and a high deductible plan. Low deductible plan might be a deductible that's maybe $1,000 or $500. A high deductible plan is anything over $1,350. Most of the plans I look at for students, it's about a $2,000 deductible. Okay. Which one's going to be more expensive for you to buy? Obviously the low deductible, right? Because you have to spend less before that insurance kicks in. Okay. The good news about it is, on a lot of high deductible plans that I look at, a lot of plans, period, that I look at range anywhere from about $70 to $200 a month for health insurance. The good news is it comes out pre-taxed, so you don't have to pay tax on it, which is nice. Okay. But remember this, and people are like, well, what should I do? I would tell both of you, probably depending on the plans, most of you at your age, you don't go to the doctor all that often, right? A couple times a year. You can probably get by with a high deductible plan because that could save you significant in premiums every year. Remember this, you're both intelligent women, you're hopefully both very proactive with your health. All physicals, what they call maintenance or wellness exams, are always 100% covered by insurance. So that doesn't count toward your deductible from that standpoint. So have the conversation with your parents and take a close look at the plans because they're not all created equal there. Dental and vision, okay. I can see Lauren's got glasses and Isla, I don't know if you got contacts in or not, but either one of these, dental and vision, you want to have them. And I can promise you, the cost is next to nothing. It's minuscule what they charge for these things. So you'll get those. The other thing that you're going to get offered with most jobs is a life insurance policy. All right. So when you sign up for benefits on that first day, they're going to say, ladies, who do you want as your beneficiary? Let me back up. Life insurance, how much you're thinking. The average life insurance policy that I see with students when they get a full-time job is 1 times their salary. Really good ones are 2 times. Really bad ones, I've had several in this year that the life insurance policy is $10,000. 10 grand won't even cover the cost of a funeral, right? So they're going to say, who do you want? Lauren, Isla, who do you want for your beneficiary? And I tell everybody, gosh, as much as you love them, don't put your boyfriend, don't put your girlfriend down until you're married there. So you're going to probably put, since you're both only children, you're going to put mom and dad down, or you're going to put the Kappa house down, or the Alpha Beta house, or whoever. You're going to give it to somebody that is going to benefit from that there. Okay. So if something tragically happened to you, whoever your beneficiary is going to get a check. If you had a $50,000 a year job and you're getting 1 time your salary, you're going to get, that person will get a check for 50 grand. Okay. So give the beneficiary some thought as well. Now, the third one that I mentioned that is incredibly important to you is disability insurance. Most nobody knows about this or understands it. And I'm saying more so from long-term disability standpoint. All right. So what's the significance of this? Well, let's say Isla's going to graduate in spring of 2023. All right. And her internship goes well in 2022. She's got a job offer. And by then, she landed a great, marketing gig with a major company out there. She's going to start at 60 grand a year. And so as she goes through graduation, knock on wood, by 2023, hopefully we have in-person graduations as well. But as soon as Isla walks off that stage into the real world with that job offer in her hand, what's her biggest asset? It's her and her earning potential. And as soon as she steps off that stage in Hilton, she is worth, she's in it for 40 years, times 60 grand, she's worth $2.4 million earning potential. You're worth a lot more than that. You're going to make a lot more than that. You're going to get raises. But if you're driving to work that first day, okay, you move back to Naperville and you're driving down the Eisenhower to go downtown Chicago and bam, you're in a bad car accident and you're paralyzed and you can never work again, what happens? Well, you're both young enough. You haven't paid much into Social Security. And so you're not going to get a huge check from the government for being disabled. But by having long-term disability, that will help cover it. Most long-term disability plans will cover 65% plus or minus your income for the rest of your life, every month for the rest of your life, up until you reach full retirement age, which the way things are going for you guys, it'll be about 80. I'm kidding. Up until full retirement age then. Okay. So it's a parachute, it's a lifeline. Even though the quality of life's not that great, at least you got an income preservation of 65%. Okay. Why do I bring this up? Because companies vary with long-term disability. There's three general avenues. Long-term disability, usually most jobs will cover it 100% for you. Some will say, let's split it. And many will say it's not included in the job offer. And so one thing I would tell you, when you graduate and you do get a job, if your offer does not include long-term disability, talk to an insurance provider, buy a long-term insurance policy plan. I can promise you at your age, they cost next to nothing there. They are minuscule. Okay. Another capo walked in there, huh? All righty. Short term. I was in that car accident and she's not paralyzed, but she breaks a leg. She's out of work for 4 weeks, 12 weeks. What does she do? She goes on to short-term disability, which provides a lot of similar benefits as long-term, but up to, I think, maybe 26 weeks there. Okay. Wellness programs, you know, it's kind of the company culture thing. A lot of companies will do what? They'll pay for gym memberships and stuff like that, because for them, a healthy employee, a proactive employee with their health, they're going to be a cheap employee to insure there. I'm not going to go into these in too details, but one thing I want you to remember right here, if you both get out, you both graduate, you both get jobs, and you both are on high deductible health insurance plans, this is only with high deductible plans, okay? Look into an HSA. Okay, HSA health savings accounts are only associated with high deductible plans. And what do? They let you put money in. If you have a really high deductible, say $4,000 when you get married, you can start pulling money out of your paycheck, pre-taxed, put it into the health savings account. It goes in tax-free, so you save the tax on it. You grow it tax-free, and when you take it out and use it to pay for any medically related expense, you don't pay any tax on it. It's a great deal. It's a win-win-win on 3 fronts. But the reason why I throw the HSA in there is that if there's an HSA with a long-term or with a high deductible plan, oftentimes the companies will throw some money into that HSA for you. So think about it. If your deductible is $2,000 and that company says, we're going to give you $1,000 in HSA, it brings your deductible down to $1,000. It's a great deal. You don't have to, you can put stuff in there, but you don't have to at this point of your life, okay? But just remember HSA, if you're on a high deductible plan and they're giving you money, take it, okay? All right, vacation time, holidays, sick leave. Here's average vacation time is 2 weeks a year with most companies, all right? That's 10 days total. Sick leave has kind of gone by the wayside. Some still offer it, but a lot of them will take sick leave and they'll do what? They'll just wrap it into the personal time. They'll call it personal time. So maybe they jack it up to 15 days. That includes vacation and sick leave. You use it as need be there. Holidays, industry average is 6 days. Okay. Anything above 6 days, it's icing on the cake. All right. And I've seen them as high as 10 to 12 days, which, you know, if you think about 6, what are you getting? You're getting New Year's, you're getting Memorial Day, you're getting July 4th, you're getting Labor, you're getting Thanksgiving, you're getting Christmas. And ideally, if you got 8, you're probably getting what, the day after Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve or something like that off. But 6 is average there from that standpoint. Educational assistants, employees or companies value employees that are lifelong learners. Maybe you get out and you're like, I'd like an MBA. All right. And so further education, continuing education, a lot of companies really value that. And they will go ahead and help fund some of those classes for you from that standpoint. Endless other perks. It just depends on the company culture out there. Boy, I had a young lady took a job just east of here in State Center. It was an ag lending job. The bank owned the golf course. Okay. And so what did she get? She got a membership to the country club as a result of that. Same with Federated Insurance up in Owatonna. I mean, there's always these other perks out there that are just are really sweet little deals there to help sweeten that. And then the last thing down here, which is a whole nother hour lecture, and I'm not even going to go there, is retirement. Okay, this is one of the most important benefits out there. You guys have both heard of 401ks before? Okay, do you know how they work? So I want you to remember this. I want you to think of 401k, and you're going to thank me for this in 40 years, okay? When you guys retire, thank me. 401k is, I want you to think of it as free money, all right? Generally, how this works is if you put in X amount, they're going to put in Y, okay? And you'll start this 401k account with that. If Isla goes to work for John Deere, it's not John Deere that's running the 401k. It's a Fidelity or a Vanguard or Merrill Lynch, all those companies you see advertised on TV. They're handling those 401ks for you. Here's the industry average 401k plan that I see, okay? If you put in 6% of your salary, they put in 3, okay? So you'll have a total of 9% going in. So the take-home lesson here is this: always put in the minimum amount that you need to put in to get the maximum match from that company, right? It's free money. So hypothetically, you go out at a $50,000 a year job, they're giving you 3%, they're giving you $1,500 to put in your 401k, as long as you put in 6% or $3,000, which is $250 a month, okay? Now you might be thinking, all right, this is great, sign me up. Here's the 3 things you need to remember with a 401k. Most kids are like, yeah, sign me up, this is great, I'm gonna take it, okay? You've gotta do 3 things. One, you gotta get in. Remember, not every company offers 401k. Only about 65 to 70% offer 401ks. Every job that you guys go into, I can promise you, you will have 401k there, okay? So you wanna sign up for it. Then you have to do, and most kids are like, all right, I signed up for it, make it happen, make it grow for me. Okay, make me that millionaire. So when I retire in 40 years, I'm loaded. Well, you have to do 2 other things. You have to pick how you want your money to be invested. That 9% that goes in, it's not just a pot of money like your savings account. You put it in a fund that's going to grow for you. All right. Lots of funds to choose from. This is where that confused look comes into play there. I will tell you this. From an investment perspective, here's the type of fund I would tell both of you to put your 401k into. And it's any fund that's got a high percentage of it going into the stock market, right? And right away, you're thinking like a lot of people, oh my God, the stock market's the most riskiest thing in the world. Remember this, what do you have that I don't have? You got a lot of time to make this stock market work for you. The stock market will be your best friend for the rest of your days here, because you get time to ride the highs and lows with it. And most investors will tell you, you can expect over 40 to 45 years, a 7% return on that, okay? So you're gonna, I tell you now, pick a fund that's heavily stock based, or if you're like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming, just remember this for a fund, they call them target date funds, okay? Target date funds. And so for both of you, you'll see 5-year increments after them. And they correspond with when you plan to retire. So both of you, let's just say you both plan to retire in 40, 45 years. You might pick a target date fund 2060 or 2065. Here's why target date funds are great, because you right now are going to put all your money in a stock fund, but when you get to be old, you don't want it in the stock fund, right? Because you can run the risk of having some volatile times and losing a lot. So as you age, you reduce the risk on there. Target date funds do that for you. They tell you, like I gave this talk to a class and the instructor's like, people, these are idiot funds. That's kind of a harsh word, but that's the reality. You put them in there and they adjust the risk as you age there. Okay, so if it's overwhelming, just remember target date 2060 or 2065. And here's the third thing you got to do that's super confusing too. You got to pick the type of 401k that you want to go in. And there's a traditional 401k and there's a Roth 401k. Either one of you ever heard of the word Roth before? Investing? Okay. Isla, do you remember what the perk is with a Roth?
I don't remember what the perk is, but my dad invests in Roth IRAs and he's been trying to show me. He invested I sold my truck and that's, I think.
And he dumped it in a Roth IRA for you?
Maybe. I don't know. I think so. It's in.
Good move. Yep. Yeah, he's got your back.
Yeah.
So the word Roth is based on the premise of when you pay the taxes on it. Okay. Pay me now or pay me later. Most people like my age and probably your parents' age, they're in traditional 401ks, meaning that $250 you put in every month, that comes out of your paycheck, pre-taxed. It grows tax-free for potentially 50 years. But when you yank it out to spend it, you got to pay Uncle Sam the tax on it. Okay. So it's going in tax-free, it's growing tax-free, but you're paying tax. Hopefully in retirement, your tax bracket's less. It's not always the case. Okay. With a Roth, the advantage, like we talked about, you pay the tax on that contribution now. It grows, you can take it out 59.5, and all that growth, the majority of it, will be tax-free. Okay. And I think most people like the idea of, I'm going to pay the tax now and reap the benefits of that later there. Okay. So what I would tell you, and let me just give you an idea of the magnitude of this event, how these, because you have the power of time, compound interest, right? So if you look at a $50,000 a year salary, you're putting in 9%, you 6, they 3, you do that for 40 years, it earns 7%. What's it worth? It's worth 9.6, 960 some $1,000. It's so easy to accrue money with the power of time. So get in the game ASAP there. My advice to you, if you can afford it, because the Roth 401k will be a slightly less take-home paycheck because you're paying your tax on that now, I would get in the Roth 401k. Okay. What I was talking about, it's an IRA, which is an individual retirement account. More power to your dad to open that up because he can put in $6,000 a year to that. And that's going to grow. You're paid the tax on it now and take it out at 59.5. It's all tax-free there too. It's a great deal. So I guess in a 401k summary, the 3 things I tell kids: 1, get in the game because it's free money. 2, pick a stock fund or a target date fund. And 3, if you can, look at the Roth 401k there from that standpoint. But some other things you might consider as well with retirement. Some companies still have a pension plan. You've probably both heard of pensions before. What a pension is, and they've gone by the wayside, is that a pension plan is based mainly on longevity. Okay, there's no contribution on your behalf. All right. But if you have a great career with a company, Isla gets out, she goes to work for John Deere for 40 years. They have a formula of years of service times high salary with a denominator they divide by, and she's going to get a check every year for her pension when she hasn't put any into it, which is a great deal. So, many companies may have both. They'll have a 401k and still have a retirement or a pension fund. And one company that I can think of is Hormel Foods, which is a great company. Okay. Because they have a 401k, they have profit sharing, and they also have a pension plan there. So again, you got to read the fine print with all these things out there. I know we zip through it and it's really, really overwhelming. But when the time comes, and trust me, most students are like, and I know I was thinking, oh my God, this is so far out. It's never going to happen. It will happen. Okay. And Lauren, the same with you. You're thinking 4 more years of vet school. I'm never gonna get out of school. Okay. It will happen. And so it'll be here before you know it. And so when the time comes and you get that job offer there, you know what? And you got that befuddled look on your face, reach out to your folks in career services, because I can promise you that this is the part of my job that I love the most, is to sit down with students and go through the job offers that they do get there. Okay. All righty. So we've been on for probably 45, 50 minutes. Any questions? You guys got any questions? And it's a lot of material to digest, and we did that pretty quickly there. But all I'm going to tell you is you guys you're on your way to that. You're doing a good job of maximizing everything that's presented to you here at Iowa State. But when you get out, don't overlook that benefit package and those 3 main ones that we talked about, especially setting yourself up for a prosperous future is taking advantage of those retirement funds out there. Okay. Well, if you have any questions afterwards, you're more than welcome to email me. I'll be glad to help you with those. But thanks for being the 2 that joined the session here today. Actually, I got 4 talks this afternoon. So I got you guys, and then I've got one, well, I told you, Lauren, already, with DMAC, and then a class from 3:40 to 5, and then a club at 6:30. So yeah, I'll be home and sound asleep by 7:30. So you guys stay safe, okay? And if I can help you, you know where to find me, or Isla, Kathy Wieland over right across the path there in Jardine. She's got a great shop over there too. So thank you guys for attending, and have a good rest of the week. Stay warm, okay?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike.
You betcha. Bye-bye.
Bye.